Welcome to the Smash Jump Podcast, your place for honest and passionate gaming conversations. Technology is constantly changing, improving, and taking over our daily lives. We carry around, computers in our pockets. We stream movies and TV shows from websites across the internet, and we buy digital versions of video games rather than going to the store and picking them up from a box. But is this the right way? Is a digital future for gaming better than physical? Or should we fight harder to preserve physical media? What are the pros and cons between physical and digital media? Today, we at Smash Jump will be discussing all that and so much more. I'm Ashton Lavelle, your host and Smash Jump contributor, and with me are a few awesome people.
Hello, my name is Gabe. I'm the editor-in-chief and founder of Smash Jump.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm a contributor at Smash Jump.
Oh, sorry.
Sam took a drink at the wrong
Hi.
time.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Eh.
I'm the video production manager and a contributor at Smash Jump.
All right, and with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. And because we caught you slacking, Sam, I need to know something.
Hello.
What you been playing?
Oh, okay. Right. Well, I was going to write all down on the good old notebook, but I have had no time. So we're going to do this from memory. Okay. So number one is Split Fiction, which is the newest Haze-like game. I've not finished it yet.
Neither have I.
Like I said, no time. But so far, it is the best one that they have produced. I still think A Way Out has a better story. I still think that It Takes Two is okay, but Split Fiction beats both of them. And Brothers as well, if you want to count that one. But Split Fiction is really, really, really good, and we're having a good time with it. There's a lot to unpack with it. There's a lot of variety with it. I'm going to be writing a review on it as well. But really, the only cons I can give it just off the bat. I mean, I don't know if I can share the cons considering the review's not come out yet, but it might be out by this time. The only cons I can think of is sometimes the story can be a bit predictable. I can kind of see where it's going towards the ending of it. Nicole, obviously you agree with that. And the other thing is, I don't think it's accessible for people who don't really play games that well, or don't
Some
play
of
games
it's
that
been
often.
tough. Yeah.
It has. Yeah, my partner doesn't play games that much. She plays the odd occasional, like she's gone through the entire Dragon Age series, but she doesn't like challenge, doesn't like difficulty. It's been a bit tough going through that. But at the same time, for someone like myself who appreciates the challenge, it's great. I love it. I think it's amazing. Also, from memory, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, because the trophy list came out on PS5. God, that aged like fine wine, honestly. So good.
Yeah.
So good. And then I did also play the Plucky Squire as well, which I wasn't that much of a fan of, but I appreciate the effort. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else at all. Lawn mowing simulator again?
Oh, no.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Does your
It's the only
new
thing I can
house have a
think of.
lawn, or are you still without a lawn?
It has a tiny little patch of grass, so I'm gonna buy like
He
a
can mow
really,
it.
really tiny bit of tiny bit of grass. So I'm gonna buy a really, really small lawnmower
So
for it.
happy.
Yeah. I can have barbecues now, which is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you all want to come around.
I'm gonna piggyback off that and just say, yeah, Split Fiction's pretty great. I'm enjoying it a lot. Speaking of A Tale of Two Sons, there's an achievement I'm dying to get, which is to relax on all 6 benches within the game, and it's called Sisters: A Tale of Two Besties.
Yeah,
So
Hey,
I saw that.
I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I'm really, really hyped about that. So
Only managed to find 2 in the game so far. I'm sure
I'm
there's
at
more later on.
4, I think. I
Mhm.
found one that I was like, that's not really a bench, but I mean, I guess I could sit on it. So
Ah,
but yeah,
sorry, Nicole. Go.
no, that's cool. And yeah, I mean, were you gonna say something about benches?
No. I was just gonna
Okay.
realize I'm on the PlayStation app. I completely forgot to talk about one, but go on, you first.
Okay, I'll swing back to you then because I'm going to very quickly just say, yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. My friend Jeff and I are having fun. There are some challenging moments, and he has trouble sticking to his lane. He seems to like follow me down on my side, so I'm like, stick to your side, like it's the cheesecake scene in Friends where they're fighting over the cheesecake in the hallway, and so I'm just like, get to your side. And there was a point where we had to share, and then he started yelling at me to stick to my side, like to tear me a new one because I was tearing him a new one constantly. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. There are some crazy sequences, and I do think that the difficulty's gone up, but it's still doable for me, so I'm fine. But like the newer people who aren't as into gaming, it's pretty good. There was a crazy section in the last sci-fi area I went through with my friend, and we were so dialed in and trying to be in sync that we just didn't talk, and it was just panic. It was just that for about 10 minutes. Because we just couldn't really talk because everything was so quick and reactionary that we were like, we don't have time for words, just noises. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's good time. I think it's better than all the other games before.
Oh yeah.
And the story's predictable in a lot of ways. But I mean, I'm the kind of person that's like besties, like immediately. Like I'll meet someone in the toilet and be like, let's be best friends, you know? So like some of the cheesy cliche stuff with the characters, I'm like, nah, I've done that, so I feel it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one last one I was just going to quickly talk about. I'm not a big Assassin's Creed guy. I don't know if I've ever made that clear in the podcast. I'm not really a big fan of the series. However, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is really good.
Yeah, it
Really
is.
good. Really, really, really good. I'm having such a fun
The
time with that.
aesthetic is good.
I even
too.
bought DLC.
Oh yeah, I like the
I
DLC
even
too.
bought
Mhm. Yeah.
DLC. Like I very rarely do that. I obviously waited for a discount, but I bought DLC for it because I was, that invested in it. And also because my partner really wanted to play the Jack River DLC. So
Yeah.
I finally caved. But it's a good game. I don't understand why people don't like it. I really haven't. I don't know why people don't like it. It is. I think it's a fine line between the older games and the newer RPG stuff.
Yeah.
That's whereabouts I'm at with it, but I'm really enjoying that one.
No,
Not
I
quite
think I
yeah.
prefer it to all the other newer games that have
Mhm.
come out recently. I think it's one of my
Oh,
favorites.
100%.
Post Black Flag, I love it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Gabe
Throwing it
and
back to Ashton though, and
Yeah,
Gabe.
one of you.
What about
Oh yeah,
you
y'all
two?
been playing a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah.
Y'all been going off in a split fiction. Sounds really cool. I'm excited to get to it one day, hopefully. Because just last night, my partner and I started playing A Way Out for the first time.
Yeah.
Finally getting on that train. I played Brothers earlier this year, so I kind of jumped in onto the Joseph Fares train, and I really enjoyed
Crazy
that.
train.
So we didn't really get super far, but I know it's a short game, so we just started that last night, and I still been just plugging away at Dragon Age 2. I'm in Act 3 now. I've got to finish that up, do the 2 DLCs, and then I'll be wrapped up on my second my replay of the Dragon Age series here, and then we'll move on to Inquisition and stuff. But yeah, I've just been plugging away at those 2 things, and that's been about it for me, because I mean, Dragon Age 2 takes a long time. I'm already almost like 30 something hours into it, so
Wow.
got a lot going on. Gabe,
Ashton,
it's always a
sorry,
toss up with you. How
before
you been doing with the gaming side?
Well, I
Yeah.
just started Avowed.
Hey, okay.
How's that?
I mean, so far I like it. To be clear, all I did was I tried it through like the cloud gaming before I downloaded it. So
Okay.
I played like 15 minutes.
But it was an enjoyable 15 minutes,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's not
Yeah,
like
it's-
God tier, but
Yeah.
it's a good time.
It so far does. I understand why people tend to make parallels to the Fallout games, or
Mhm.
specifically New Vegas.
because it's
Yeah.
familiar.
Because
Yeah.
it is the same developer and all that type of stuff. But yeah,
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it with the best Fallout game. The best
Mhm.
Fallout game. 100%.
That's just a factual statement.
It's a correct statement.
Just
I'll
a
be real. I
factual phrase.
have
Factual statement.
I have
You have what? Yeah.
like I have a preference slash I've played
Mhm.
more hours in 4 than New Vegas, and that's mostly just because I didn't get into New Vegas until
Fair.
later on. So
Yeah.
like I understand New Vegas is the better game, but I actually end up going back to 4 more.
Well, also
think
it's a bit
gameplay-
newer, fresh coat of paint, feels cleaner.
Gameplay wise, I think 4 is probably the best.
Yeah.
New Vegas's gameplay. Can I swear yet? Can I swear yet, Ashton?
We're 10
Uh,
minutes in.
It fucking sucks. It sucks
Yeah.
so much. It sucks
Yeah.
so much, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of problems with older games. It's not even that old, but it's like it's starting to get to the point where like those kinds of that generation of games are starting to feel really clunky.
But
So
you know what I will say? At least there's a physical release.
Hey, look at you helping me out
What a
with the segue.
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 Helping
Ashton
me
didn't
out
have
with
to
the
do
segue.
it.
We
Taking over
are
your job
talking
now.
physical and digital games today, and we're gonna kind of expand that topic out to a lot of different things. Because what does that mean, right? Like obviously, physical games. We're talking about things that you can hold in your hand in real life. Halo 2,
You got
collector's edition,
examples as well. I got examples to talk about.
Mine are in a box in
And
the other
then,
room. I'm not pulling them out.
digital. Obviously, we're talking about digital games. We're talking about DLC. We're talking about microtransactions. We're talking about, what the online world is like when you're playing games nowadays with the digital world. We're talking about how you even install games and play games nowadays. So there's a lot to kind of dig in here. So I guess to start off, since it is a big, topic, let's just start at a base level. Let's get our base understanding of how we each operate in this world of digital games right now. When you're going to purchase a game, are you more likely to buy it digitally or purchase it physically? Because for me, it depends on where I'm going to play it. Because obviously, if I'm going to play it on PC, finding a physical copy is going to be a pain in my ass, but Steam's right there. And I'm in this weird spot where, as much as I really love physical games and I will always champion them, Steam is so convenient and right there. And I kind of separate consoles and PC as two different things. So I don't really like having digital games on my console, but I'm perfectly fine having Steam. So it's kind of weird for me. If I'm going to buy a game on PS5, I'm going to pick up a disc. I'm not going to buy it digitally. It's very rarely I'm going to do that. But when it comes to Steam, I have no qualms about it for some reason. So I'm kind of in a weird spot. I'm interested, Gabe. What do you think about all of that? If you're going to buy a game, do you care if it's digital or physical, and which one are you more likely to pick up first?
So for me, it is usually digital, but part of that is because I don't drive. I actually don't even have a license. So
Ditto.
I don't have a means to necessarily go to the store and buy a physical copy of a game. And so I do get digital copies, but I am someone who does champion, as you know. I champion physical and games preservation, so I'm in a weird place where I'll buy a game again if I like it and buy it physically, because then I'll have it. But I'm planning soon-ish to buy Astrobot as a physical game. Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
And before someone in the comments points it out, because I'm sure they will, why not ship it to yourself through Amazon or some other service?
Yeah, I mean that's fair as well. It is also more or less a convenience thing. I'd rather be able to play it sooner and know that I like it, and then just buy it again if I like it that much.
Yeah, you do have to usually wait, an extra day or two for that shipping.
Especially since I'm in Alaska, and I do have Prime, because a lot of people in Alaska have Amazon Prime. It still takes a while for it to ship.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
That's right. We're gonna dig into that a little bit more, because there's some interesting things to talk about that with, if you don't like a game, the process of getting rid of it or return for it. But Sam, what about you? How do you operate when when you're trying to buy a game?
Physical all the way, baby. Physical all the way. Love physical. The only time whenever I do get digital is if there is a sale. There is a lot of easier games to obtain if they're on sale. Like, for example, I picked up Borderlands, I can't fucking speak. Borderlands Legacy Collection for $7.99. I probably wouldn't have been able to find that elsewhere if it was physical. So when stuff like that happens, fair enough, I'll buy it digitally. Indie games, normally they release digitally. Fair enough, I'll support that. Physical all the way though. I've actually brought examples and I'll explain why if you guys would listen. So basically, with physical, you can get games that no longer are available to purchase digitally. Like for example, Spec Ops: The Line. You can't buy that on Steam anymore. You can't buy that on the PS3 store. Here's a physical copy. Put it into your console. There you go. Wow. Done. The same could be said for other games, like for example, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You can't get that anymore on the PS Store. Mortal Kombat, the original, the 2009 reboot, can't get that. This old thing, which I dug out as well, you can get that for a quid or a £1.
What
So
is
there you
that? I
go.
can't see it.
That is Haze, one of the Halo killers.
Okay.
One of the Halo
Oh, yeah.
killers that
Oh,
absolutely failed. Or you could get some obscure games like Bionic Commando, the reboot, Wolfenstein 2009, my personal favorite, Deadly Premonition, the director's cut.
oh,
So you can get
nice.
all these. Also including is Saints Row, Left 4 Dead as well on the Xbox 360. So you can get all that. And the reason why I like physical is because it's there. You own this.
Mhm.
You can just go ahead and you can plug it in. But there's an issue with that. Where are you going to put all this?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
main problem. So that's why I kind of feel like digital is good because digital is all stored onto a hard drive. Or if you don't have it installed, it's there in your library. You can download it whenever. Now, obviously, there's the thing about whether or not you actually own the game that you buy, or if you just own the
Yeah.
license. Technically speaking, you just own the license, so fair enough. However,
Well, I mean,
go
they
on.
flat out say that it's a license on
Yeah,
Steam.
exactly. Yeah. At least
Yeah,
Steam is transparent
they
with
don't
it.
like say it though. Like they put it in like the terms and conditions. So
No,
like
Mm.
pay attention to that, you know.
if you go to the checkout now on Steam, it does acknowledge it as a license.
So I don't see that on Xbox, and I mainly
Yeah.
make my purchase through
This
Xbox.
this is
So
yeah.
they have buy now, and I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it now.
Yeah.
I'll buy. And it says you own this game. I'm like, damn right I do.
Yep.
And it's like, but I don't. So
You
Yep,
don't, you technically
exactly.
just
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, Steam's transparent with it, whereas
Yeah.
PlayStation, Xbox, they're not. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where that's kind of where the whole conversation happens.
Yeah.
However, a lot of developers now are just doing the digital release, like Alan Wake 2 did a digital release.
Physical later.
This one
Yeah.
also did a digital release as well, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Refused to buy it on digital, wanted it on physical. It's mine now. Also, as well, with physical media, collector's editions.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You can
do
get
have that.
loads of cool shit with
I
your
do have
collector's
that in
edition.
this room. I
Loads
just
of
can't
cool
be asked to
shit.
climb up and grab it because it's too
You
high
could
up.
get loads of this, which includes like journals and whatever. Or if you're feeling
Yep.
adventurous and you've got a load of money to waste, you can get something like this thing, which is massive. But
Yeah.
there's stuff. The reason, kind of like why I prefer physical, is because I feel like I own it. If I
Mhm.
buy digital, it is there and I can use it whenever, but I don't technically own it.
Yeah.
This I can take these. Oh Jesus, these I can take wherever. I can take them wherever with me as long as I have the console, and I can just go ahead and I can plug it in, whatever. Digital is great, especially for my camera's just gone really blurry.
There we
Digital
go.
is great, especially for indie developers. It's fantastic. It's really good. But for me, there's always been a desire to own everything physically. The main
Right.
thing I can really say as a con about physical is that you need a lot of space. A lot of space. We've got 3 boxes downstairs with games and DVDs that I haven't unpacked yet because I don't have a bookcase. So they're just still in boxes. I can't put them anywhere.
I will
Yeah.
say, if you didn't necessarily mind not having the cases, you could always get like a DVD binder.
Oh, I love those.
Mm.
I have a bunch, yeah.
But there's
Which-
something about the cases.
Oh
Oh, I
yeah,
hate
I
Like a
get
binders.
trophy.
About the
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah, I get
Something
that,
about
but
them.
and that's why I said if you don't mind not having the cases, that is an option.
I get that.
But
I get that.
yeah, because
I,
that is me too.
you know what? So I've got a lot of digital games and I've got a lot of physical games.
Mhm.
I don't buy physical games anymore. I don't. I just don't in general.
Heresy.
I will only buy physical games if they make it worth it. So for a good example, just my situation, I'm in the sticks of England, which to be fair, compared to like America and Canada, it's not that far away from shops. My local shops are like 40 minutes away. That's my nearest city. That's not that bad. However,
Damn.
all the local stores no longer sell the physical releases. So there's a shop called Game that I used to always go there to try and
Mhm.
get physical
R.I.P..
pre-orders. RIP. And I got my Xbox from there. I really did try. Anytime I could, I'd go there and support them. But there were like some days where I do a pre-order through Game and it would be like, oh, you get like this digital thing with it if you like do this, like this in-game thing. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I remember it happened with Immortals Phoenix Rising. I was gonna go get it. And then I realized I was like, I paid £5 for the pre-order to put a deposit down. And I now got to go to Cambridge at like, stupid o'clock, like on a weekend. Who wants to do that and go get I'm not doing that. And I was like, what do I get from the physical version that I'm not getting from the digital version? Because I've now got to fork out £12 for a train ticket to Cambridge. I've then got to get a bus into the center of town, go interact with humans, eat something, and then go home. And all that time I could be playing my game. And I'm just like, oh, so I ended up just being like, nah, screw it. I'll just do it on Xbox. I got a bit of a discount because I had my Game Pass stuff, because I get my rewards back and everything, so save like a $5. And I was like, done, cool, bought that, let's go. And I just think that in a lot of ways, it's kind of just a big waste of time for me to go get things. The only time I get like a physical release is if it can be delivered to me and if it is going to be something really worth it. So, for example, or in the Blind Forest or the Will o' Wisps, I think the second one had a special light up box. It was stunning. I have it somewhere upstairs. I love it. Or I've got Alan Wake. I've got the physical one coming eventually. Something happened to it, so it's like on the way in like the next month, hopefully, for Alan Wake 2. And so I think that if they're going to give me cool side stuff like a statue or some cool collectibles that I just can't get if I like through digital things, it's digital, then yeah, I'll do that. But I don't really care about physical as much as digital. I think that, and Remedy really pointed it out well, was that in order to save money and in order to save the consumers money, going digital was just a more cost-effective option. They're not a huge AAA studio that can afford to fork out all that money. And so they were like, we're doing this, we'll do physical eventually just for you guys. And that was nice. But yeah, I just think it's just so much easier. And I'm a huge indie person, so yeah. And the crazy thing is that I used to want to have a big physical collection. I've got so many physical games from 360 era and a couple from Xbox One before everything started moving over. And it's just like, I'm not gonna lie, it's a similar thing with books. I've got a Kindle. I can read things on Kindle, but the problem is, look at all these beautiful special editions. Like, I don't really buy normal books. I sometimes do because I like the feeling of holding a physical book and reading it. But with a game, it's a digital experience no matter what you're doing. So you're always going to be on there. I don't really need a physical like reminder of it. I have these trophies because they look nice. So if physical releases are going to give me these special editions, I think that's one of the only ways you can kind of recapture the audience and convince them to buy physical stuff is doing this, So yeah.
The one thing I'll just say on the back of what Nicole just said, the one thing I just actually forgot to mention when I were talking about physical stuff, it's some of the physical stuff now, like in the UK, we have a shop called Sex Behave. It's not what you think. It's
spelled
CEX.
Yeah, I used to work in the one in
not one of
Cambridge,
those.
yeah.
They all
a terrible
smell.
choice.
I think they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose, I think, to capture
to troll
people.
everyone. Yeah, exactly. But there are things in that shop where they will up the price ridiculously. Like the other day, I was walking through and I saw the Deadpool game. You can't get Deadpool wherever. You have to buy it physically. £80 for PS4.
Yeah, they're
That's
scalping.
double what it was on release. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's the same thing for like Lollipop Chainsaw on PS3. £65. It's crazy.
I managed to get that for a
Crazy.
$5 from CEX a few years ago, and I was like, man, I'm lucky. Oh yeah.
It's just so I don't understand how they can charge ridiculous prices. The worst I've seen. Do you remember the Godzilla game that came out? I think it was like
that thing's
tandem.
crazy. That thing's crazy expensive.
£125 for that. It's ridiculous.
I'll give them some defense. I don't think that's really their fault. They're not sex did not establish that that's what the price should be. The market established that's what the price should be, because those games can't be found anywhere. And so now if you go to eBay and buy it from just a regular person, that's what it's going for, and the shop has to like match that, or else they're just losing money that they could get for this classic game.
They're losing money anyway, because who the hell is paying for the stuff that they have in the shop? Like, I will say right now, they do something ridiculous actually. I've witnessed this firsthand. Somebody went in there to trade an item and sell it to the shop, and then they would have given them like cash, and then some other guy was there like who wanted to buy that item, and he's like, hey, instead of dealing with these people, why don't we just go outside? I'll give you 20 quid more than they would give you, and we'll just do this outside. And that was it. And I was just like, oh my God. So CX getting undercut constantly. So yeah.
Well, that's more like this this is more like a retro problem. Like retro, I
Yeah.
know like Godzilla PS4 is hardly like retro, but like that's just kind of a thing with
Rare.
buying retro games is like
Yeah.
if you're going into a store and they have games like that, you're gonna have to face that they're gonna sell it for the price that it's going on market because they're not gonna be targeting like if they're gonna like sell it, they're gonna try to get the market value that it's going for because they're either A, not going to get the person who's going to buy it for 60 because nobody in the planet Earth who has this game and knows its value is going to sell it for 60. So that person's not going to get it no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to find it for 60 unless they find it like at a garage sale or something, which is like lucky you, right? But then what they're targeting is for that one person who's looking for that game, happens to find it, is a collector or something like that, knows that the marketplace is where it is, and then picks it up. You know, maybe they could, you know, there's an argument to like maybe make it a little less, like maybe 75, 70, because then you're more incentivized to like pick it up right then and there rather than go to eBay and find it. But like for those kinds of games, I get it. But if they were like I know GameStop would get into a lot of shit back in the day. I don't know if they still do it, but what I had heard was that they used to take new games and then they would unpackage them and then repackage them so that they could sell them as pre-owned, right? Because the wrapping was now off. It was no longer a new game. And because they got a larger share if they sold a game that was pre-owned rather than if it was brand new, they got a larger share of that sale. So that kind of stuff is that's
didn't know that.
absurdly terrible.
Wow.
I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't even know if they did that in the first place. That's just something I had always heard through the grapevine, but could be completely false. So comments would have to correct me. But like that's the kind of scummy shit I get. But if like I don't know, if a game store is following what the market is, I feel like you have to blame the market rather than the game store because that's ever since COVID, like finding physical copies of games that are in limited supply and retro games has just become really, really a tough thing to do. Games have gotten so expensive if they're not readily available.
Yeah.
Well, there's also like in most places, like in the UK now, especially, so many stores that sell those kinds of things no longer do, and they'll only sell like the top 10 video games currently available, and it's just like so it'll be like FIFA, COD, and you know Baldur's Gate and whatever, and those will be the top 10 that they're selling, and they'll only sell like the console ones, obviously, and so it's like right, okay, and then that's it. So there's really the market has made it so hard to buy physical games and like making it so much easier to go digital. It's quite frustrating.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I mean, so I will say I'm looking at like pricecharting.com. Yeah, that Godzilla game loose is $220.
Yeah.
What?
Wow. Yeah.
Damn, you've got a good deal, man. Go back in there.
Say,
get
that's
it.
actually a steal, Sam, if it was 100 something.
So where can I find this then?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Go sell it on eBay. I mean, what?
Do it for double.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and
And you got to think that's a game that came out in 2014, so about like a decade ago, but it was a PS4 game, and it's like you could have picked it up for 60, and now it's worth like $200 or more if you have full case.
It's actually increased to 190.
That's still a steal. That's a
steal.
It's still more.
There it is.
It's still less.
That's a steal. That's a steal.
Yeah, we
gotta
should shut
gotta
up.
cop that
Eat
right
our
now.
words. Yeah.
And then
You gotta
like
cop that ASAP.
Deadpool for PS4, its loose price is 80. So
yeah,
that's
That
pretty
adds
much
up.
that market price that they are following. So yeah, it's
and that's gonna be the
entirely-
rough thing with physical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicole, there's one
Yeah.
Godzilla next to you.
Is it Cambridge or is it Barry?
Maybe.
Oh, Barry doesn't have one.
Might be
Or
Cambridge.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go
I might have
housing
to
it
go
with you.
take a look.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
I think the I don't know. Retro gaming kind of gets into this conversation a bit because they are all physical games, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. And that gets into like, for example, Earthbound, right? Obviously a game I really adore. That game has been expensive for a long time. Even pre-COVID, it was always expensive, but it's always had this problem where it's not actually that rare of a game. It's pretty like it didn't sell great in the States. So I think that's part of the reason why people kind of consider it rare. or at least it did when the market was set. But like, it was pretty highly produced, just didn't sell very well. And so by the baseline, people not understanding like how many copies were out there, it kind of entered the retro market at a really high price, and it's kind of just stayed there because people keep buying it at that price. And so anytime you see Earthbound, it's like $100, $200 or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's really unfortunate because that's what's kept me from having a physical copy of my own, because it's just so expensive. But like that kind of thing can happen with a physical game. Whereas like if you're on a digital storefront, the only people who are setting that price are Microsoft and the publisher slash developer who work together on whatever the price is going to be. There's a sale or what have you. Otherwise, like for retro video games, you're just at the mercy of what everyone else on earth is willing to pay for that thing. And
Yeah.
that's really the volatility part of it that can be kind of unfortunate, especially if you're collecting stuff.
As
Yeah.
a book girly who collects books, story of my life.
Yeah.
Took
I
me
think there's
ages to get
probably a
the
lot of
Halo
parallels
Reach
there.
edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of parallels. It's why it's a pain in the ass being a book person and a game person, because it's like I had to let one physical thing go, and that was the physical games, and I went for physical books instead. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to go back, touch on a point that Sam made, with all of his games that he has that you can't like pick up on the storefront anymore. One of them that I have is Transformers Devastation, and I didn't bring it over here. I kind of forgot, but that's a game that you can't find on storefronts anymore. You can't just buy it outright. I don't believe, but it thankfully is a game that if you own the physical disc still, it will run, right? You can
Yeah.
play it, it will install off the disc, and then you can play it. You don't need to be online or anything like that. But one problem I'm having with the melding of physical and digital worlds is tampering with discs now. I know a game like Call of Duty, the most recent one, Cold War, that is one where you can go buy a physical disc, and you would expect that if you have a physical disc for a game, you can just plug it in, play it, and you're good to go. But for Cold War, it doesn't work like that. Everything that you would want to play pretty much is locked off unless you are online and have downloaded an update. And that I think that's going to be where we enter the super red alert danger zone of physical games and digital games kind of melding of, I'm going to buy this thing. It's going to be in my hands. It's going to be something that I spent my money on. But if I do not have access to the internet when I first pick this thing up, I plug it in and it is unusable. And that's something that I cannot ever get behind. Is something that I find incredibly frustrating.
I don't know why they did this, and I don't really understand it fully. But so I really enjoyed Mercenaries 2: World in Flames, one of my favorite 360 games I ever played. I'm sad that that's dead because it was really fun, and I just enjoyed pissing off everybody and then trying to buy back their niceness. And when playing it, when you logged in, I remember for years I played it without any internet connection because we just didn't have internet for a while because it was poor. And so I put it in, be no problem. And then every time when I moved and we finally got internet and I put it in, the EA server would try to like establish a connection, and then the game would like freeze on the menu, and it was every time. And I couldn't figure out for the longest time what was going on. And then I one day I just unplugged the lovely internet cable that was attached to my Xbox. I was like, get out of there, no internet allowed for you. And then that's how I played Mercenaries 2, because there was no other way for me to play it, because it would freeze every single time because I couldn't establish a connection because I think EA shut down the server or something. So like I don't know how I'm ever gonna play that. I don't know if it's like backward compatible or anything. I think the only way to play it is to go onto my 360 Elite, disconnect it from the internet, and then play it like that. And that's the only way I can do it. And that is stupid. Makes me very angry. So.
Yeah, I can think
do
of
that
like,
all the time.
like Ubisoft is really pushing like activating their games through, even if they're physical media. Like I want to say Outlaws did that, and I know that Shadows is doing that as well, where if you bought a physical version, you still need to activate it through their servers. And
what does that mean, activate?
as in like you put in the disc and you have to have internet connection to download the game.
Fuck that.
Yep.
It's like
Fuck
verifying
that.
that you
Yep.
you have it or something.
Fuck that.
Pretty
How else
much.
would how else would I have been able to actually play the game if I didn't buy the actual? Oh, you know what? I give up sometimes.
Yeah, well,
I really do.
how would we be able to do that? Yo ho. Uh, but
Yeah, pretty much.
regardless, like, yeah, that was just like such a ridiculous thing that Ubisoft is pushing, and I'm just like, why? Like, there are
Especially when
many
you're on
other
like
ways.
PC and Uplay is terrible. I hate Uplay.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like getting some like PTSD now as well so with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in particular, the multiplayer was so good. And the worst thing is that I want to go back and play Brotherhood again because I miss it, right? I think I'm missing one multiplayer achievement. I can never 100% the game because they shut down the bloody server.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer was so good. I don't know why more people weren't playing it. It's so good. It's incredible. It's one of the best things I've ever played. And they've shut that down. So I can't do that anymore. And it's like, I paid for a game with an experience. Why are you taking it away from me? That's another thing, actually. Sorry, Gabe, go.
I feel like Sam would agree with this. I think that once you shut down servers, you should be obligated to make multiplayer trophies or achievements. Just not
Yeah.
accounting for
Allow
platinums
100%.
or 100%.
Well, I
Yeah.
just think multiplayer trophies should be banned to the Shadow Realm.
I think that
Or like
I do think
put them
that,
away
yeah.
from the
Horrible.
like platinum or something. You know?
There's
Yes.
a level of that
Yes.
that sucks because it's like, what if you don't have the skill to get certain achievements in multiplayer? I've gotten so many random achievements in Halo multiplayer that like have been the stupidest achievements. One was like jump from a grab lift and shoot someone while aim down sights, and I happened to shoot someone. I saw an achievement coming up, and then as I landed off the grab lift, I then like there was some guy in my face, so I just stabbed him. And then there was another achievement saying when you land from a grab lift, kill someone. And I was like, wait. So I just got 2 achievements within 5 seconds by pure accident. And it's like, if I was trying to make that happen, it wouldn't happen. It was like Halo 4 or something. But I did want to.
I think those are cool, actually.
Yeah,
I think those are sick.
What a pain in the ass, though. Like, what? Like, I have to play the game differently in order to accomplish this task. Like,
that's a separate conversation of trophies because I feel like we're unlocking something here.
Well, I'm angry, but I do have something I want to say about Destiny, which is I bought the game, I bought the physical game, I bought the damn thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I put it in. I was so excited to play the damn thing, and after years of like of being away from it, went back in, was like, oh, I want to do some multiplayer. It's like, oh, don't have DLC, you can't access this, or this, and I was like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What? So I was like, screw you, Bungie, I'm out. So
Yeah.
Exactly. One thing that I want to mention as well, which has kind of annoyed me about digital games. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, recently released, got great reviews and everything. I bought the first one. Want to play that first before I get into the second one. Wanted to see how much it was on the PS Store. £80 on the PS Store, which I think is a rip-off for starters, right? So I think to myself, okay, I'm going to see how much it is for physical. £60 for physical. At what point does digital games warrant more money from me when I get less for that price compared to physical, where I have a lovely case, a disc, and a piece of paper inside that tells me the terms and conditions instead of a manual? You know, like all that's cool. Like, this is the thing that just bugs me. Like, I don't understand why I have to pay £80 for a code when I could be spending £20 less to get more. That's just something that just boggles my mind.
The same thing with Dark Souls. I think Dark Souls 3, I bought the physical copy because it was cheaper with all the DLC included in the codes. So I bought that instead of the digital version because it was more expensive. And it's just like, what's the logic behind this?
I don't. This is what boggles my mind. Like this costs money to make. A lot of money. You'd think that they would. This would be £80. It's the digital one. I just.
Well, where'd you buy it at? Because I feel like there's a lot of factors going in here.
So the thing is, it's kind of like what Nicole said. In the UK, I don't know if you guys still have GameSpot or of a kind of shops like that. We don't have anything like that. So I can't go into a shop and say, hello, I'd like to pre-order Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, physical copy for when it releases. I can't do that anymore because game has just gone defunct. There's no other game.
And we don't have anything else.
We have nothing. So we have to rely on kind of something that Gabe was talking about earlier, which is to get things shipped out to us. On different sites like Amazon, there's another one called hit.com, very.co.uk. You can use all these different kinds of websites. You will get a cheaper price than what is advertised on the PlayStation Store.
Hmm.
Atom Fall, which I want to get, is £44. That's the cheapest I've seen it. On the PlayStation Store, it's a 60 quid or
And
$60 or
it's not
so
even out yet. It's a
£62,
brand new
sorry.
game.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing
Wow.
is, I don't understand how the digital stuff is more expensive compared to the physical when you're getting a lot
No.
more for the physical.
Mm.
I think
That's where the confusion lies.
so. I feel like the only reason why it ends up more expensive is for the convenience of it.
Well, I also
Maybe
feel
that's
like
a
it
Yeah,
good
depends,
point.
right? Like
Because
we're talking like it that always happens, but that's not true. Like digital
yeah,
has so many sales at all times for different
yeah.
things that like I feel like it kind of just depends on when are you buying it, where are you buying it, that kind of thing. Because like, I mean, even if you go on like GOG, right? That if you go on that website, a lot of times they'll have pre-orders up for games that haven't come out yet, but they'll already be like 10% off. Versus like Steam, a different storefront where it'll still be full price, and then you go on Amazon and it's a different price. So like, I feel like that's more of like a something that
Yeah.
kind of just is in a weird spot when you have a game that's in so many different forms and storefronts and they're
hmm
not all like synchronized together. Like sometimes digital will be dirt cheap, sometimes physical you'll find it on the cheap. Like I feel like it's very very like, ambiguous and like depends on the time and day and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I feel like
It,
that's
it
that's all over the
it's
place.
so
Yep.
it is that's the thing. This is so it's so all over the place. So like
yeah,
the thing is it's funny how so many things, so many physical things are now cheaper to have, even though they're more expensive to produce. But then all the digital stuff kind of just does whatever the hell it wants. And it's like we've given it the freedom to do that because we keep putting money into the system. And so
yep,
it's like I love digital, but I also kind of hate feeding the beast because I like having options. And so we're slowly losing our options. And so I feel like the last physical things we're getting are like last ditch efforts to maybe sell the physical ones. Maybe some people have some overstock or something and they're like, we need to get this stuff gone. Maybe we're going to make it cheaper here compared to digital. But like in most cases, I will say right now, the day when I was getting Dark Souls, I looked at it on the store and I went, that's 40 quid. I looked, or no, maybe 50 or something. It was still quite a lot. And then I went and saw it on the internet for like cheaper somewhere. I don't know what it was for like I think it might have been Game actually, for the physical one. And
That's
then
rare.
yeah, yeah. And I know they have nothing on the website. And then I was like, I could wait a day or two, or I could play it right now. And that's like a huge like balance thing
yeah.
that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
There are some rare cases where you get the physical game, like you pre-order a game that's not out yet, and it gets to you before the release day. That happened with Death Stranding. I
Yeah.
Oh,
was like, I got it
hmm
a day early. Let's go.
That happened with
But
Last of Us Part 2, and then I saw Joel die, and I was like, don't want to play anymore.
spoilers. So yeah,
It's been
yeah.
out
So
for 5 years.
you're right.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just so complicated. I'm definitely leaning towards digital only because I've not been given many other options. If they were to, if companies were to invest hard into physical, I'd start kind of aiming for that a bit more. But they're not helping me right now.
I don't think they will.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think they will. No, you got to kind of think about it. It's all a money making scheme. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's all business. So if you're a publisher and your developer has made a, I don't know, like you say, a 40-hour game, and they're not very well known, and you don't really have that much faith in them, you're gonna say, right, focus. We're gonna say, they're gonna say to them, right, so we're just gonna release it on the store and see
Yeah.
what it's like and see how well it sells. Sells like hotcakes. Then you're like,
Which
right.
don't sell very well, I learned.
Yeah. And then you say to them, let's put this out physically and try and get more money. Because of the money that you've got from the digital sales, that can then go into part of it can then go into the manufacturing costs for the discs, for the cases, for the artwork as well. Everything goes into the this camera's annoying me.
It's fine.
Everything goes into the manufacturing for the cases and for the actual physical release. Collector's editions, they also cost things as well. Everything costs. So if you do not have the faith or the money to pump into the physical editions, you're going to look for cheaper alternatives, which is why a lot of companies now, like with Dead Rising, like with Alan Wake, etc., they're going to put it out digitally instead of going the route of digital and physical. Some people may have more faith in it, like Capcom may have done that with Dead Rising, but they won't do the same with Resident Evil because Resident Evil sells very, very, very well. So they know for a fact that they can have a digital release and a physical release. They know they're going to get the money back. It's all the money making scheme at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Fair.
it's shit
Makes sense.
and it's horrible. And I'd prefer having physical over digital, but at the same time, digital does open up a lot of good opportunities for indie games, for other games. Like there's games I bought on the PlayStation Store. You can't play them anywhere else. But there's always going to be problems with it. No one's ever going to be truly satisfied with going one way or another, which is why the option to have digital and physical is the best way forward.
Yeah.
But again, it all comes back to one thing, that being money.
Yep.
Money.
And I think that
That's the
another thing that's like, so I feel like a reason why it can end up with games being sold less when it's physical is that it's less of the time that like the publisher or developer approved the game be sold at that price, but rather the people that are selling it realize that it's selling better at this price, or they have overstock and need to get rid of that for the next big release or something like that. So it's one of those things where I think that part of why you can find physical games cheaper is because there's like, for example, like obviously, like we have Target, which has like deals on certain days, and typically like Monday is a deal for like technology, which does include games, and you could get percentage off of that. Now they didn't have to go to the publisher to ask if that was okay. So it's one of those things where like whereas the pay store page for like a Steam game or the PlayStation store page, that one is managed by the publisher or developer. Whereas, so they set with their games prices, whereas it's not really that way at like big box stores
Yeah, because I
where
mean,
you
like
would, yeah.
in Nicole's example, like you can go to the PlayStation Store right now and get Dark Souls remastered for $40, or you can go on Amazon and get a physical copy for PS4 for 28. So obviously a huge difference, but if you look at the smaller details, you're not getting Dark Souls physical from Bandai Namco or
Yeah.
direct from PlayStation. You're getting it from Magic Games, whoever they are. Like
Yep.
they're the ones that are selling this.
Oh,
They're the
those
ones that are
guys,
working with
right.
Amazon to put that price out
Love Magic
versus
games. I know them
digital,
so
which
well.
is completely determined by PlayStation and
Yeah.
Bandai
Yeah.
Namco. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's gonna be a big deal there for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they'll still take a percentage of that. Surely. They'll
Yeah,
still take a percentage of it because it's
somewhere.
their product.
I'm sure there's some level of that somewhere,
This
but I'm not sure. I'm not
probably-
going to pretend to be an expert on how
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff works. But there's got to be something to where like I don't know, maybe Bandai and Namco just decide like they cut their losses, say
Probably-
whatever, like let them do what
Yeah.
they're going to do. I don't know.
They probably buy codes in bulk or copies in bulk, which tend to, if you go through certain channels, go the
Definitely.
route of getting a
Ashton
discount.
looked like he was about to absolutely.
That's
his brain
another
just
thing.
went.
That's another thing. Buying game codes on other things, like going, like I remember I worked at GameStop for a couple months, okay,
Mhm.
and we would do a thing where if like we would have the display cases, but if we didn't have the physical disc like in our shelves, then we would offer you a code instead. And I'm like, gosh, it's unlocking to me. I cannot like. A big deal for GameStop was we want to sell something, period. It doesn't matter if it's physical or not. If we can get you something and money in the register, then that's good enough because,
Mhm.
they're trying to survive and stuff and they're doing a
Yeah.
terrible job at it. So, like, the idea of like, oh, you're going to go on Amazon and you're going to buy what you think might be a physical disc and then you end up just getting a code. And, I've never made that mistake, but I can easily see that being a thing where people make the mistake of thinking they're going to get something in their hands, but in the reality, they just get emailed a code and then maybe the code doesn't work because, that
Yeah.
stuff gets kind of fucky. And it's like, Man, that was a whole thing. Gabe, you just unlocked that to me. Of
in fact, Gabe,
that's
actually,
a whole other world too of just
you
weird
we've
triggered
unlocked something.
Halo 5 Guardians release day when I got it. I remember they handed me the physical copy of the physical special edition collector's statue. They handed me the empty Halo 5 Guardians steel book box with a fucking code in it. And I was like, what is this? And the worst thing was the game.
This?
Yeah.
See this? Oh.
I should have a disc.
No
yeah.
disc.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
2.
No,
Where's
but-
the disc?
But the worst thing was, I live in the sticks, right? My download was like, speed was like 10.
Yep.
10. What is it? Mega, micro, whatever the hell it is.
Megabytes.
Micro.
Yeah.
Is it?
Megabytes.
Megabytes.
That's it.
Megabytes.
It was like 10 download speed. That download took me 48 hours.
Yep.
And I was like, no one else can use the internet while this is downloading because I was in the sticks. And it was
Yeah.
the worst.
You know what the problem is with that? You bought an Xbox One.
famously rated. Very
That was
low
your
on our
problem.
tier
You
list
bought
of
an Xbox
console
One.
video game consoles last week. Go check out that episode, by the way.
Yeah.
Good plug. Good plug.
Yeah, I
Yep.
really, I hate the Xbox One.
You know,
Yeah, it sucked.
there is one thing I just want to mention as well. One of the things I always kind of think of from like a business perspective, people like having money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love getting money. You love seeing all the zeros and everything in your bank account, but you don't want to spend a single penny of that. You like having money. You don't want to spend it. So if you see something that is cheap compared to something on the let's say for example, I don't know, you get let's just go, we talk about Halo 5. Let's say you get Halo 5, it's come out, you see that it's 60 quid, 60 pounds. You see that that's on the Xbox store. You go to another website, you see you can get it for about 50. You as a consumer, what are you going to do? You're going to try and spend less money to get the same product.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I always kind of like live by. I always look to see if there is like any deals or if there's any other website that's maybe doing it for even like 10 pence cheaper. You still save money. That money
I'm
can
lazy.
then go to something else. Well, but fair enough. I mean, I always
fair
try
enough.
and save as much money as possible. And if I see something that is completely like £5 cheaper, I will go with that in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter if it is digital, doesn't matter if it's physical. Like, for example, I was tempted to get Alien Isolation, Nicole, and that was digital on the PlayStation Store for $7.99. I'm pretty sure in CEX that's like double that price. Which one would I go for? I go for digital because
Yeah.
it's cheaper. And I think that's ultimately why people decide to go for one or the other.
We're
How
unfortunately
much is it?
keeping it digital alive on the days when like they decide that's the cheaper one. It's like
Yeah.
if they get you on a good bloody day, then that's it, you know.
Yep. Yeah. No,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I think
it's all
that's
about
a big
money.
reason why digital is so big because there's so many deals, right?
Absolutely. I've never ever bought as much games as I have whenever I bought a PlayStation. Because PlayStation just have like loads of deals all the time, like Mega March or extra savings or
Mhm.
whatever, and it's just you look through it, you see some cool thing, you're like, huh, that's £2. Add to basket, pay.
I mean, right now, Steam sale is doing they're doing the spring sale, and they do those, a couple times every year, and like they're a big deal because people will go on there and find games for dirt cheap, and then buy like
like a
30
national
of them,
event.
and then never play a single one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, story of
So-
my life.
Like
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
I want it
But-
noted that I've only read like less than half the books on my bookshelves. So like,
Oh yeah, that's
story
just
of my
the,
life.
that's the life.
Double.
That's the life.
You'll
you
get there.
know?
You'll
That's
get
the
there.
life.
Yeah, I have got a to be read and a to be played pile, and they're both just I will be dead before I successfully get through everything.
Yeah.
I have
Cry.
like loads of folders like on these things like Gabe will know what I'm talking about, but in your library you can do like these folders of like up to 100 games. So I basically have like 3 different folders. One's for my platinums, so that I know which games I've platinumed. The other 2 are for games that I either want to play or have played. And the amount of like folders that I've made because I have like 500 games in my library, it just it works out so well with just making sure that I keep track of everything. But digital, because digital opens up like a lot of digital opens up like a lot of options for you, and you get to see like a lot of new cool stuff. There's a lot that you can get and add into your library. So yeah, I don't know. I think that both they both have the perks, they both have their cons. Ashton, are you a physical guy or a digital guy?
Oh, I've always been physical all the way. Like
Yes.
I will always
Yeah.
take a physical copy. Like if they do like once they get the Alan Wake 2 physical out, like I'll probably pick that up once I get the chance. Something like if I can get physical, like again, I'm kind of weird. I am definitely when it comes to consoles, physical all the way. I will very rarely get a digital game unless it's like Veilguard just got free for PS Plus members. And obviously I'm interested in that. So I'm like, I can get Veilguard for free on my PS5, or I can pay $30 on Steam. Well, I'm just gonna get the free one, and I would love to have a physical copy, but that's also a game that like probably is going to be available for the next foreseeable future in physical, so I doubt it's going to become like this $200-$300
Yeah.
game like Godzilla
Yeah,
was.
drop in
So
price significantly.
kind of pick and choose a little bit, but yeah, I am staunchly a physical defender. But I do want to pivot real quick because there's two things I want to talk about before we sort of start winding down this episode. Gabe, I'm really interested to throw this towards you because preservation is a big thing for both physical and digital, and
Yep.
I've heard arguments for both ways, right? Because obviously, if you have a physical game, as long as you take care of it, it should be okay, barring like old Game Boy
Discard.
games having batteries that die
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But then there's also the argument of digital. And as long as the servers are running and as long as you keep copies around, that game is now always going to be there for you to access at any time. And there's no risk of it physically being damaged like like a disc or a cartridge can. How do you feel about preservation in games and the digital versus physical? Like which one do you think kind of does preservation better, and how do you feel about all of that?
So I think that like physical is the only one where it's like more like have to choose my words carefully here. But like physical is the quote unquote easier one for the consumer, with the broad consumer, because obviously there are ways for preserving digital games, regardless of whether or not they are accessible or not. But you have to know some stuff to be able to do that. You have to be able to understand how to dump files and things like that. So physical is an easier way to preserve, but not everything is a physical game. Well, that's because the what's the right, the developer didn't, or the developer or publisher didn't want to go for physical versions, or they don't have the money for physical versions, or it's an indie game, so they don't have the money for physical versions. There is a level of game preservation that really the only viable way for digital, generally speaking, is through like GOG, which provides offline installers, which provides a means to be able for you to be able to preserve that game more easily. But of course, GOG is a very niche platform, so not every game is there. It's just difficult for digital unless you know certain things that not everyone will be able to wrap their head around.
Do you think there should be some more sort of I guess you could say responsibility placed upon the developers slash publishers and these big companies to preserve these games at least digitally more, like making sure that they're put away, making sure that they're kept going, making sure that they have backups for whatever files they have for each game, and and then on top of that, if you can also answer this part, making them accessible, right? We've seen Nintendo with their online, slowly bringing in games, taking some out. Like we're seeing problems with that. So how do you go about with all that as well?
So I do think that there needs to be responsibility from the publisher to make their games accessible, or at the very least available for play in some capacity. Like there is no reason why, for example, I think like The Crew had to be delisted and then like basically just wiped off of people's libraries. There's no reason, especially since there was already an offline version they could have patched in. like I'll give credit for Arcane, even though Redfall wasn't that great. They still put an offline play patch in.
Yay, the small wins.
Yes.
The little things
Like
in life.
I'll give them that. They put and there's like other developers that are doing that too. Like they're putting patches in to be able to still play them for the people that purchased them when originally the game was an online only experience.
I wish, in terms of game preservation, that there was a way to play the games in their original state, having them on digital.
Yeah.
Because anytime you have a digital game, it's going to get updated. I think when you download it, if you're re-downloading it, I think it comes with all the updates that have come out since. Because like, I have to uninstall things all the time and reinstall because I don't have much space. So I end up getting like the newest version of things. And then, like with physical games, if you just, go like, pull out 360 and jam a 360 game in there and then just don't connect to the internet, that thing ain't going to update. You're just going to play it. Yeah. And it's actually quite funny and kind of annoying because if I think about it in the perspective of playing certain games, things like Elden Ring or Lies of P, right? They're going to get patched and fixed after a couple weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
Ashton's getting excited.
Sorry. I'm very,
yeah.
I have things to say.
Yeah. I'll wrap this up. I want to hear what you have to say. And so one of the things I like is that when the game first comes out, there's so many things about it that are fun to take advantage of, fun glitches, fun little things, and some things game breaking. So I get that they want to patch those things, but I'm in such a rush to get the game done because I want to finish it in its original state before they like make certain bosses easier and make certain bosses, like more well balanced. And I'm like, nah, just like I want to play original thing. Like I think I killed Melania before they ever did any of the patches, and then there was that patch that broke it and made her impossible to kill. Oh my god, that was traumatizing for those people. I was fine because I'd already done it, but stuff like that. So yeah, please, Ashton, I want to hear everything you have to say.
Now I want to hear thoughts Sam has too, but I just want you brought up Liza. I was gonna bring up Liza P because that was a big one. I was a little late to the Liza P party, not super late, but a little. And they had patched a good couple of the bosses already to be easier. And
that made me angry.
Made
me really angry.
Livid, and they did that for Armored Core as well. And I was livid because you can revert it back, but it's really fucking annoying, and it's hard to confirm if it's actually like reverted back once you get to the point in the game because you got to play through a section of the game to get to the boss that is patched up. So it's like difficult, and I'm a little too prideful. I get it. I'm a little too prideful, but it hurts me to think that I played this really difficult thing, but I know that my victory was a little easier than everyone else's victory was. And that pisses me off because I want to have the victory like everybody else had. And I can't stand that. I can't stand that shit.
You should have seen me. So I took out Romeo before the patch came in, who's like one of the hard bosses of the game. Like he's like, that's a turning point in the game right there. And when I killed him, I was like, oh my god, I'm so good. And then like I had friends late to the party who were like, oh, I just killed him too. I'm like, you killed him post update, not the same level. Shut up. You take eat your words.
And sometimes they can be huge updates that change them drastically to be so much easier, like parry windows and stuff like that. And it's annoying on Steam because that's where I played Lies of P because you have to, when you revert it back, you have to do this fucky way to get it to revert back.
I don't even think you can on console, can you?
I don't know of a way. I'm sure there is, but somebody might have more technical knowledge than I have. But you have to basically make it so that Steam stays offline because if you get that game to recognize Steam's connection at all, it's going to try to update immediately. And it's like, stop. I don't want this. This would be a lot of work for a lot of developers. So I get why this doesn't happen. But if there was a way, modders, maybe please get this to be a thing to have all of your patches be separate selectable things that I can flip between. I don't know. That'd be crazy, but that'd be cool. So I could go back to 1.0 and then go forward. Because that's a big thing for speedrunners too. Speedrunners speedrun at specific patches.
With Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff. I only want this for Soulsborne games, really. My main thing. This is the main thing I have a problem with.
It's a pride problem. It's a pride problem.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
just so annoying. It's so that there's no reason. And there are some things like if they'd done this to Halo and they were like, hey, that one thing that was really broken, let's just fix that. I would have been like, what do you think you're doing? That's 20. How old am I now? That's 24, 2001 years of broken game you have fixed. And now speedrunners and stuff wouldn't be able to do that. They haven't done that. And hallelujah, thank God they haven't done that, 'cause I'd be pissed because there's certain things that you just can't. You're taking away some of the accidental fun that people are having. Something natural and broken has occurred, and it's funny and
It's
difficult.
awesome. That's
Halo,
games, you know.
if they fixed Halo 2, then I wouldn't be so proud as to how difficult Halo 2 is, and the fact that I've accomplished so much in it with it being so damn hard. So,
Sam, imagine that you're playing Halo Combat Evolved and they patched so that the pistol is like less powerful. You know, how'd that make you feel?
eBay is an option.
Sure. Yeah.
turn off the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Sorry. I mini rant there, but that's a problem of like just modern gaming in general. Like patches are nice because they can fix things that are broken. Cyberpunk, for example, wouldn't have the resurgence it did if we didn't have modern day patches. But also sometimes you just have stupid shit happen in old games where they weren't fixed up properly or whatever, and it's just fun. It's fun.
And in game preservation, right? I want the original damn thing. Like, it's so annoying when I'm having conversations with people where they're like, "Oh, I never experienced that because they patched that," and I'm like, well, you know, that's why I actually love what Halo's done, which is they didn't fix anything. They left it broken and it's perfect, you know? And so it's like, keep doing that. There's no reason to go back in and just like tweak something that wasn't broken. You know, if something's broken, yeah, fix it. But like, if it's just there, it's like that meme from the Honest trailer for Dark Souls. Like, bugs are just, you know, extra things to make it harder. It's just like
bugs
it
are
adds
features,
to the,
you know.
yeah, their feet exactly. It's like it's
like if I'm walking around and I fall through the floor, it's like, okay, yeah, fix that. That's something that is legitimately broken. But if it's something like, oh, I made this sword too powerful, it's like, okay, whatever, dude. Leave it. Like, it's a single player game. I will simply choose not to use that sword if I don't want,
or I'll choose to use it and go ham.
Or I'll choose to use it. Yeah. So last thing here, Sam, I'm going to throw this to you. Obviously, the world's going to keep on going. We're going to keep going into the future. And I think it's clear to see that the digital age is not going away anytime soon. I'm curious what your thoughts are going forward. How far do you think, you know, in the future, do you think digital is going to overtake physical completely? Do you think physical is going to maybe just keep growing smaller and smaller and smaller? Give me a little bit of insight onto how you think the future of gaming is going to be with this physical digital thing. Do you think physical might go away entirely? What are your thoughts?
Potentially. Yeah, I do feel like after a while they will make everything digital only. If you look at PCs, for example, a lot of PCs now do not come with a disk drive. You said it yourself earlier.
Mine don't.
It's difficult to get a physical copy of a PC game. You can obviously buy them in shops like Sexy X, however you want to call it. You can obviously buy them, but you obviously need a disk drive for it in order to play it. So that's extra expenses as well. They've done it for PC. I think they'll do it for consoles, which does suck because I know that there are people out there who prefer physical media, like myself and you, Ashton. Well, to be fair, all of us like physical media. I'm not saying we all prefer it. Nicole, especially with her 60,000 books behind her.
I prefer physical media dependent on the thing.
Dependent on the thing, fair enough. Yeah, but we all like physical media. You know, there's something interesting about having like an actual case with us, where you can actually have it in your hand and say, yes, this is mine. I bought this. I own this. And I think that that's something that will eventually die out, which, for lack of a better word, is awful because there's going to be this thing where the only way to buy things is one way. And as Nicole mentioned earlier, options are there for a reason. If you don't prefer one way, you can go and get it another way. There may very well still be the odd occasional physical release, but I've seen it like in my local Asda, for example. They had like a huge game section about 2 years ago, and it shrunk in half because not a lot of people were buying the physical games because digital makes it easier for people to buy the products. Store it onto some sort of digital thing on your console, and it's there whenever you want it. unless it gets delisted. But this is the thing. This is the like gray area where you can find yourself into. You can find something like Deadpool. Let's say that Deadpool is still on. Let's say you this actually. Let's say like 10 years ago, you wanted to buy Deadpool on the PlayStation Store. You found it. You said, "Okay, it's £40. I don't have that much money. Let me save. Let me save for a little bit, or let me wait for like a sale." Two months go by. It's been delisted. You can't buy it anymore. You've missed out. You want it, then you have the physical option where, yeah, it's slightly more expensive, but if you really want to play that game, you can go out and you can find it. But at the same time, there are pros and cons, like I mentioned earlier. There's pros for physical, there's cons for physical, there's pros for digital, there's cons for digital. I think ultimately it just depends what kind of consumer you are. Are you someone who values things that you can put on a shelf and you can just grab, put into the disc tray, and then let it go and download and play? Or are you someone that doesn't have enough space in their home, who or doesn't have enough money for a load of storage, and you want something digital which is easier for yourself to then use? Personally, I kind of feel like, just to go back to the original question, that there will be a time when physical media does die, which is awful. You've seen it with DVDs. DVDs are very, very, very cheap because not a lot of people buy them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the same thing will happen. And unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. What I've kind of learned over the past couple of years is you can shout and scream all you want, but unless there's about a million other people doing the same thing, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Gabe, do you want to piggyback off that?
I I mean, like, I kind of agree there. I mean, I don't think it will go away completely just because in the end, the thing that separates like PC gaming from console gaming is with PC, it's because there is a platform that's just universally seen as a good option. Because people love Steam. Like, there's people who don't, but it's really the only place where like you can be an indie developer and publish on there.
Yep.
It's really an accessible platform because it's just available basically everywhere. And the places that it's not available, there's ways around that. And in the end, like whereas with like PlayStation or Xbox, there isn't that like platform that people can say that they prefer because like yeah, you'll buy the game from PSN or whatever, but in the end I think that even PlayStation is aware that we could still get sales from physical, because in the end, like if they really wanted to, and this goes for Xbox as well, if they really wanted to go all digital, then they have to make it worth going all digital. And in the end, they aren't doing that, at least not yet. I'd imagine that the rumored um like new Xbox could, because it is supposedly going to have compatibility with um like third party storefronts like Steam and Epic and GOG, supposedly. And if that's the case, then I could see it going all Xbox going all digital. But I think that they're also aware that while it's not a big part of their community, there's still people who want to buy physical versions.
I see this as going with, so with the most recent console releases from PlayStation and Xbox, they have gone with, you know, digital consoles and
Mhm.
physical, or sorry, disc tray consoles.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're already trying to phase out
Mhm.
the physical release option for people to get used to the idea of just having a fully digital console.
Yeah,
And I
that's
do
true.
think that at some point it's going to get phased out. I remember when we used to all have like DVD players in our house. I don't anymore. I have my Xbox, and if they stop doing a disc tray in there, then I'm, you know, then I'm not going to have a DVD player anymore. And I'm just, to be honest, I'm just,
Yeah.
whatever, it's like they've phased it out of laptops as well. Laptops don't really do that anymore. You tend to like have to buy a plug-in. I feel like one day consoles are going to be completely without that, and then you can buy a special attachment to play a disc somewhere. But yeah, with the way it's going, it's all being phased out, and it's sad, but like what can we do? So.
Exactly.
I think the reason they haven't
Yeah.
done it is because they don't want to piss off the masses. There are people who are going to be really upset about them.
It's going to be the vocal minority of people.
Yeah.
Because
The
in the
redundant
end,
rhetoric.
the only way that I can see a means for them to be able to go the route of doing that, of like entirely fit, like going all digital, but they made it worth it by basically having some sort of means to import your physical library onto your account all the way from like the PS1 or the original Xbox, like an entire means to be able to basically have that centralized. And
I'm not even sure that matters, right?
Well,
Because
like,
I mean, PS4 didn't do that, but it still sold like hotcakes.
Oh yeah, no. Well, what I'm meaning, like, the PS4 didn't go all digital though. Like we're talking.
No, but I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's backwards kind of stuff, then like PS4 didn't care if it was digital or not because it couldn't do it anyway, which was a problem. I feel like.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I feel like that's why Sony still has a level of clinging on to like some level of physical, because they're trying to save face in some way. Of like, because like they don't, surprisingly, I don't think PlayStation wants to be seen as the bad guy. But
you think
they're doing a terrible job.
Yeah, I know. But regardless, I think that there's going to be there will be a time when physical is going to just kick the bucket. And that's unfortunate, but with,
it is.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. Like, they're just not going to make physical versions anymore, or it's going to have like a similar like revival years down the line again, like vinyls did, which is like a specialty novelty thing.
I think it's gonna go away. I think it'll go away sooner than we even realize. I think by the time it happens, we're gonna be like shocked at how early it happens. Because I mean, you guys have pointed out, it's already happening. Like, we're seeing the Xbox Series S was the first only digital console already, only digital. The PS5 had two different versions, one without a disc drive and one with, and it was more expensive to get the disc drive. The PS5 Pro, you had to get the disc drive separately. So we're already seeing the steps of this happening. And I just think that as digital gets more and more of the share of the marketplace, obviously it's going to take away physical. And I think physical is going to start occupying this smaller segment that is more of a collector's thing. It's going to be an enthusiast thing. They'll come out with their collector's editions, and those will be the only way to get a physical copy. I think that's kind of the route we're going down. I mean, I think my big thing is that I don't like anyone but myself having power over my stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't like the idea that at any given time, at any given moment, a game that I have bought on PlayStation or what have you, or on Steam, and maybe I haven't downloaded it yet or what have you, gets taken away and I can do nothing about it. I do not like that idea at all. I much prefer something like this. Classic PS2, if you have this disc, you plug it into your console and you now can play it forever and ever. And barring somebody busting down your door to take it, you can't take this away from me, right? And I think there's something special about especially older games, the physical games like this, because obviously, like, this is Kingdom Hearts 2. This is my favorite game of all time. I have so many memories. My childhood is in here. So many like loving experiences are in here. My relationship with my best friend is in here. Like, so much of my life is in this disc right here. So much of me is right here that I can hold in my hands. And that's not something you can do with the digital game, right? Like, I can't display this and show this as like a part of my history unless I have this physical copy.
It has
And
meaning
I
to
think
you.
that's
I'm
really,
not like Ashton. That
you
like
know,
really moved me, man.
it's important to me.
The
And
way you said that
it's just
really hit
sad,
me.
you know. And like
Wow.
it's something that I think is going away, and I think that's just kind of disappointing. And that's
Yeah.
not the only thing going away. We're seeing art disappear. Like I think one of the most famous examples, PT, right? Like people
Oh
Oh
yeah.
still
my
go
God,
back
Oh,
and
yeah.
talk about PT, but you can't get it
Oh,
now
I
unless you
miss
have
it.
a PS4 that already has it on there.
Yeah, people
And
were
that's
selling their
just a shame
PS4s with it
for
on there.
exorbitant prices. And I
Mhm.
get it because people love that game. People, you know, still talk about it as one of the best short horror experiences they've ever had. And
Yeah.
it's gone. Like you can
Yep.
only get it through that means. And I think that's really, really disappointing.
Mm.
And I'm
Really unfortunate.
really worried about the
I never
future.
got a chance to play PT. I
Yeah.
was
I
really
I didn't
annoyed
either.
when
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously,
it
I'm
got
not a horror
disabled.
guy, but
Yeah.
I did see it. I saw people play it. I watched streamers play it. I like was in the know, you know,
Yeah.
and it was so cool. It was super cool. And now
Mhm.
that piece of art is
It's
just
gone.
off the face
Yep.
of the planet Earth. And I think that's a really
Disappeared.
scary future that we're heading towards. And I think if we're obviously we're not going to be able to stop the digital age from taking over. I don't think that's going to happen. People who aren't enthusiasts, which is the majority of the marketplace, don't give a shit. They do
Yeah.
not care. They just want to get their game, that the 1 or 2 games they play a year, and then just go. They don't care about everything else. It's going to take huge pushes from us, from the enthusiasts, from the people who give a shit to say, hey, we get it. Digital is going to be around, but we need to have some protections. We need to have some preservations. We need to have some, you know, level of respect for, you know, this art form that we all love, and to say, hey, you know, we can go towards this digital age, but give us those options, keep things around, because that's going to be important. And I don't want to see art disappear. And I just think it's cool. I mean, it's cool to have physical copies. Those things look fucking sick.
I'm hoping for a resurgence, and I'm only saying this because I'm just looking in the corner of my screen for a second, and just, you know, so these are my vinyl records from some of my video games. So I've got my Ori ones. They finally re-released Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I've got this one here, another one further along you can't see. Got Outer Wilds, and it's DLC over here. I always do it every time without fail, and then just Son up here. And so like the vinyl's making a comeback, and
Yeah.
and that's, you know, that's cool. So maybe one day we'll see a comeback. But like unfortunately at the moment, the only way I'm able to physically show how much I love something is by getting other merch like these vinyls in order to display it. I want more. I want them to take my money. Like give me something physical for me to spend my money on, and I will come. You know, that sounded weird.
Insects.
Bobby, cut that part out.
Yeah, don't. It's really funny. But like, you know, one of the smart things that a lot of places do at the moment, and I'm hoping that this is maybe something they do for the future. So books, and also what happened with Remedy is that places will do the pre-order scheme, just being like, hey, you know, pre-order these. They won't be available on the day of this, but like they'll be available at this time. So there will be special edition books that are coming, and people can line up for that, and so they don't make too many or print too many of the books or make too many of the collectible items. They get a specific amount, an exact number, and then they do it like a Kickstarter campaign. And Remedy did it for Alan Wake 2 with the physical release. They were like, hey, we're doing the physical. If you want the special collector's edition, here's the place you can go to. And then they'll only order the amount that they need specifically for those people. And so it's like, there are avenues to go down. It's just the big boys at the top, and girls and days, want to. I don't want to lump all the good people in with the people up top, but there are some people up the top who only care about money, and they could be of any walk of life, and I just it really bugs me that I want them to take my money, and they want to take my money, so take more of my money. Like, feel free to make things where you can rob me. Do it. But they don't. They're like, here's the digital release. They're robbing me in a different way. They're like, here's your thing that you can't entirely have, but you can mostly have it. So
Yeah.
There is one thing I just want to quickly say on the back of what Ashton said. Your copy of Kingdom Hearts 2, because I've had stuff from my childhood. Like I've still got the PS1 Spider-Man game, and I played that through death when I were a kid. You may still have that, and even if physical media does eventually die, the one thing that won't is the memories that you made with it.
until you die.
The memories,
And
yeah.
then when you die, your memories will go.
Okay, Nicole, you just
You know
ruined
what?
it all. Yep, that's
They're
fine.
passed
You know
down.
what?
They're
Mind.
passed down.
You know what, Nicole? Yep, okay.
Yep.
Ruining
Look,
I
memories.
just
And on
thought
that
I'd
note-
give some
No, I'm
really
gonna end it on the
nice to
worst
end it
note.
off.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
I'm
what
gonna
if you-
end
no,
it on
no,
a good note because
No, let me do it bad so
so
you can make it good.
Uh-oh,
Let me just do
okay.
the
You
had
bad
your
thing so you
time.
can
You
go
had
good,
your-
right? The sun is going to explode one day and nothing's going to matter. So game preservation doesn't matter. The human race is done.
Dude,
Well,
I'm-
you're
I'm
somebody
depressed
who has
enough.
played
I don't
the
need
Outer
this.
Wilds, and you should know that that's not true.
Yeah, but your things won't still be alive then. Carry on, Ashton.
You might,
Please
you might,
make
we
a
might
good
be in a
ending.
time
Sad
loop. You don't
now.
know. You don't know.
Pull out
Things
Halo
get left
2. What we
behind.
got?
But
We've
so
not even
this,
got to
so
the
this is
post-show
the
yet.
other physical thing that I had,
Yeah.
which that I brought because this is Halo 2 Collector's Edition. But this was the
That is a
copy
pristine
I
copy as
played
well.
With it's if you're in real life, it's not. It's got some scratches on it and stuff, unfortunately, and it's got a dent on the back
Has it got-
here because
has it got any
I played the
rust?
hell out of it. But it does have, the game in it. It's got the manual. It's complete and everything. This was the copy that I played with one of my friends, Zach, way back when I was a kid. Like this is the same version of that game, which is super fucking cool. Like, and if you go to if you have a Super Nintendo or a Game Boy or Game Boy Advance cartridge, that's even more special because not only do you have the game that you've kept since you were a child, but also the save data, right? And that's super cool too, of having that save data and stuff. So that's something that, I guess technically, right, you have save data on your hard drive on your PS4, but that's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. So
Cloud
that's
save
also a
data.
cool thing that you don't get anymore. But do we have any final thoughts on physical and digital games and what we think about them or anything like that?
No,
before we
Ashton,
head on
Nicole
over to our
depressed the
post-show?
fuck out of me, so no, I'm good.
Every day I have
Yeah.
an existential crisis, and then I'm like, why do I care about collecting things? Because the world's gonna go one day. So it's just one of those days.
Well, if
Yeah,
Outer
fair
Wilds
enough.
ever taught me anything, then it's that even though everything might blow up in a giant blaze of fire, you never know. We might be in a time loop, and maybe a little bit of that will be left behind. You never know. You never know. Maybe.
That'd be nice.
Maybe my
Might be
copy
nice.
of Halo 2 will be found in space somewhere. Who
I
knows?
was gonna say, just yeet it, try and not entirely break reality, but find a way to have that be one of the things that survives into the next life.
Just chuck it on a space shuttle,
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Just
like the
pick
little
point
the
of direction,
drone.
you
If
know?
you shoot out the drone when you're heading towards the eye, in the end credits, it comes shooting by. So just have that, but Halo 2 sellotaped to it and just shoot by. So
Just
If
with
aliens
the,
ever come to Earth, they need to play Halo 2. Actually, maybe don't. Maybe
no,
don't.
no.
it's a bit hard. They
That'd
might
be
hate
a
us.
terrible example.
Oh, also, we're just shooting aliens for the entire game. They may not
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
don't do that. Maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
become
but if they
friends.
play-
We become friends.
if they play
eventually,
it, they'll
three,
think,
three.
"Oh, this is fun. We could do this to the humans." Let's try.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. they
And on
probably would.
that note, I think that has been the Smash Jump podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, we've got a whole bunch of podcast episodes. We're on our 10th episode, by the way. Hooray
Yep.
for us, hitting double digits. Last episode, we had a really good time ranking all of the video game consoles from the big manufacturers.
We had a good time
three.
because,
tier list.
because
It was-
Nicole
it
was a good
boo-booed
time.
the time. So
Let's be clear. It was the big three.
The big
Yeah.
three: Nintendo,
Yeah.
Xbox, and PlayStation, with the
Yep.
handhelds included.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. So go ahead and check that out and give us your thoughts on that. Go to
was there in spirit.
smashjump.com and go ahead and check out all of our articles and stuff like that. And also stay here on the Smash Jump YouTube channel. Subscribe.
Yep.
We got all sorts of different videos that you
Yep.
can check out. Gabe, would you like to go ahead and tell them how they can get some extra special perks if they want to support
Yes.
independent media?
So you should join our Patreon. You get early access to the podcast you're watching right now, and then also select video content. And you can also follow me at on Twitter at Gabe_REISINGER.
All right. And
Yep.
also don't forget, we have a 30-minute-ish post show for
that's
the
true.
podcast that you can also find on
Yes.
Patreon.
That's
yeah,
true.
Jen,
sometimes we'll
got
talk about
anything you'd like to
games.
plug?
Sometimes talk about other crap.
Yep,
So.
literally.
Can't
We're going to
wait.
see what this episode brings, but first,
Yep. Yep.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Anybody got anything? I got nothing. I'm good.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, I'm trying to upload more to my own YouTube game opinion. I got one in the works and a couple of others, but besides from that, I got nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing.
All right. That has been the Smash Jump podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts about digital and physical gaming. What do you think is going to happen with the digital age going forward? And we'd love to see you come back on the next episode. Peace.
Bye.